From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Crop conditions are hanging tough in Arkansas.
So far, everything's looking very good. A whole lot better than last year.
We'll check in on the growing season. Plus, the push is on to limit foreign ag land ownership.
There's a fine line, but a good line to walk, that we want to invest in our farmers, but have to make sure at the same time protect them.
A look at the latest proposals from Congress. And fertilizers are finally moving lower.
By and large, we didn't pollinate at all.
We'll dig into the latest pricing trends today on AgDay.
AgDay, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when experience meets expertise. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Fertilizer prices climbed to historic highs in 2022. This year, however, those inputs have been on a constant slide. Take a look at this graphic from USDA and the University of Illinois ag economists over at Farm Doc Daily. Following the run-up that began in 2021, prices of anhydrous, urea, potash, and liquid nitrogen all peaking in 2022 and are now trending lower. Farm Journal's Tyne Morgan has more on the input market that's still working through supply uncertainty.
You know, we have a few kernels on this year, but by and large, we didn't pollinate at all.
Samp and other farmers planted what could be one of their most expensive crops ever this year between inputs and other inflation-fueled necessities on the farm. And it wasn't until spring until some of those input prices started to fall. Ohio State's Barry Ward tracks prices of inputs and other farm expenses.
From my data, anhydrous ammonia come down about 50% since last year at this time, about 30% since March. The least is the phosphorus fertilizer products, right around 20%.
The price shift was sudden and something Rabobank's Sam Taylor has also been tracking.
If you look at the affordability index, it is gone from being atrocious last year, that ratio to the price of fertilizers to the underlying commodity, to actually one of the best it's been in decades.
According to this affordability index from Rabo, Taylor says the wholesale price of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash has gone from last year's sticker shock when NPK prices were the highest since 2008 to now dropping to the lowest since 2004.
There is supply, there is inventory. So farmers shouldn't necessarily, unless something goes cataclysmic in the world, shouldn't see a huge price correction.
According to Farm Doc Daily's look at recent fertilizer price trends, major fertilizer products in Illinois began increasing in 2021 and peaked in the second quarter of 2022. That includes anhydrous ammonia topping out at $1,635 per ton last June and falling to $870 per ton last week. That's a 47% drop in just over a year. Farm Doc Daily shows the price of urea fell 50% during that time, and liquid nitrogen is down 22%. Ward says the sharp decline for key fertilizer products is driven partially by falling crop prices.
There's a high correlation there. Crop prices, as they move, fertilizer prices tend to follow. It's not always a perfect correlation.
He says lower commodity prices can cause some farmers to second guess the amount of fertilizer they buy. But the other major driver, the price of natural gas.
We saw that really fall out in both North America and Europe throughout the winter. Milder winters that was part of the driver. So those lower natural gas prices were a key feature and a key factor in not only nitrogen prices, but also helping to soften some of our phosphorus fertilizer prices.
This chart from Farm Doc Daily shows the correlation between natural gas and corn commodity prices and the price of anhydrous ammonia. Just like fertilizer prices, natural gas prices also peaked last summer. Ward says if growers are locking in fall fertilizer prices, he's also suggesting to get some crop sales on the books as other costs are forecast to climb.
There's still this issue of escalating cash rents across the Midwest that are going to put pressure on growers.
So what can we expect for rainfall and heat this week? Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht joins us with a look ahead and our first forecast. Matt.
Yeah, Clinton, one of the things we're watching in the jet stream, pockets of energy moving across the United States, a pattern we haven't seen much of this entire season. So here's the jet stream on Monday. A little dip there will kick up some rain chances. bring down some cooler temperatures, and you got another one right behind it. So by Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, a couple of rain chances coming up this week. And speaking of things that are coming up, that is not one, that is not two, that is 3 cows on that picture. This one being sent in from Massachusetts. The farm says triplets are extremely rare for dairy cows, and it's only happened one other time on their farm. The 3 little ladies are doing well despite being just 35 pounds each at birth. Usually a baby calf weighs about 90 pounds. The farm says they're already growing and getting all the nutrition they need. Baby calf usually weighs 90 pounds. Those 3, 35 pounds each. We'll talk more about your forecast coming up in just a bit.
Efforts are underway by both parties and both chambers of Congress to restrict foreign investors from purchasing land here in the United States. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us with a closer look at where those concerns begin.
The Senate recently passed an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act to boost federal review and limit farm purchases by foreign investors from certain countries. The legislation was co-sponsored by Senators John Tester of Montana and Mike Rounds of South Dakota and would restrict ownership from China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. They cite concerns that adversaries might buy U.S. land to gain influence. Various farm groups backed the move.
We were supportive of his bill that he put forth. We felt that foreign land, and as it pertains to ag land, should be addressed at a national level. They have the ability to address all that and to purposely kind of execute what needs to be done as far as that bill.
China holds less than 1% of U.S. foreign-owned farmland, according to USDA, while Canada holds 31%. Now, Diner says, however, the lines blur when it comes to restricting foreign investment in U.S. ag research or companies like Chinese-owned Smithfield Foods, which has hog processing in the Midwest.
Yeah, it's hard to say that we want to decrease the amount of Smithfields and the amount of hog slaughter within our state or across the country. So there's, like I said, there's a fine line, but a good line to walk that we want to invest in our farmers, but have to make sure at the same time protect them.
The proposed amendment excludes U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents from such restrictions. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Farmland expansion in Brazil is slowing down. Preliminary data from Brazil's Space Research Agency shows deforestation in the Amazon has fallen to a 6-year low. Now, according to new state data, 192.6 square miles of rainforest were cleared in July. Now, that's a 66% reduction from July of 2022. The data highlights a sharp decline in deforestation since President Lula da Silva was inaugurated back in January. His environment minister says the government is increasing surveillance and fining perpetrators, which is helping to slow deforestation down. Now, she says they're already seeing cattle pulled off protected areas, calling it proof that the violators are realizing they'll be prosecuted for breaking the law. Strawberries are a great summertime treat, but we've all seen what happens if you leave them in the fridge too long. Sometimes that gray fuzz or mold shows up just a day or two after bringing them home. Now, farmers often fight the issue with fungicides, but scientists at USDA are looking for new ideas. One solution is ultraviolet C irradiation. While it traditionally has been able to kill microbes, it also damages the leaves and fruit. Well, scientists think they've solved that problem by irradiating strawberry plants with UVC and then following it with a period of darkness. The team has found a drastic increase in the ability to kill the pathogens that cause that fuzzy mold. And it doesn't damage the leaves, flowers, or fruit. It also knocks out spider mites, which could mean a need for less pesticides. They say the key is the darkness after the UVC irradiation. The scientists think it deprives the pathogens of the light needed to activate their DNA repair mechanisms. They've now patented the idea and are working with a partner to develop a robot that can treat strawberry fields at night. Weather and geopolitical tensions pull commodity markets higher to end the week. So what should we be watching this week? We'll discuss it next in Markets Now. And later, we're off to Arkansas to check on crop conditions as the growing season enters its final phase in the country. After a week of wild swings, what is in store for commodity markets this week? Michelle Rook answers that question in Markets Now.
Well, Friday's market closes in the grains, higher and row crops mixed in the wheat. Mark Schultz with North Star Commodity joining us. And Mark, we did see corn and soybeans kind of try to bounce on Friday, a little dead cat bounce, maybe because we had lower weekly closes, didn't we?
Yeah, we still put the pressure on the markets for the week, and the wheat leading the way to the downside, corn following right behind it. The soybeans have been a little bit better, Michelle, and that's just simply because there at least is demand in the bean market. There just isn't much on the demand side as far as wheat or corn is concerned, in the export arena anyway. Domestically, yes, the problem on the domestic side for corn, the people who are making money is basically the ethanol industry.
Obviously, some big fund selling pressure last week, and we've been taking out war and weather premium. Talk about some support areas that kind of need to hold here now, because we've taken out some pretty major areas already, haven't we?
Well, we're on our way down, and let's start with the corn. The December corn just under $5 a bushel here. 480 is going to be your major support. That is the below that we posted back in July, and that's the week that we did indeed post an outside up week. So technically, I like that part of the chart signal. If we come down in there and test, if we don't, we start closing below 480, then I'd say it opens up the door for a test down to $4.20 a bushel in here. And of course, we'll have the USDA report coming up later next week or this week, and that to me is still going to be key.
So beans below the 200-day moving average, and so 13 is kind of the next area we have to hold, or what?
Yeah, the beans are in that 13 to 13.18 a bushel. That's the key support. Now, we broke below 13.65. So on rallies up, really, which I ought to look for now, I'm bringing my short-term resistance down to that 13.65 on up to 13.75. And then the support levels go back down now to 13.50. That's the low that we posted this week. And that's actually a low when you look across about, we've had 3 other times in about the last 6 weeks on that level. So, it's still it's an okay and attractive price on the beans. The question gets to be is what's the yield going to be for the producer?
No doubt. Thanks for joining us, Mark Schultz with North Star Commodity. That's Markets Now. We'll have more AgDay coming up.
Registration is open for the 2023 Pro Farmer Crop Tour, August 21st through the 24th. Attend one of our nightly meetings or join online as we gain insight on the 2023 growing season. Visit profarmercroptour.com/register to select the stop nearest you.
Yeah, we looked at it just a little bit ago, that jet stream, those couple of waves coming through. You see it's dry back down here to the south and to the west. It's going to be dry and hot. That's where that dominant ridge we've talked all summer season about will be located. As we work away from the ridge, the instability, the lift in the atmosphere starts to increase. So we'll get a couple of waves of showers moving through the United States starting today, Monday, and then again Wednesday and Thursday, with systems starting from the northwest moving down and across the United States as they pick up some moisture from the Atlantic. That's why we start to see the heaviest rainfall back into upstate New York, Maine, even into New Hampshire. Again, that's coming late in the week on the heels of 2 systems that we're going to be following in the next couple of days. Substantial rainfall as well throughout the week into the Midwest, Indiana, Illinois, into Michigan, where some of these pockets could hit about 2, maybe even 3 inches of rainfall. So no surprise here. The energy that we're following kind of lays out the precipitation outlook between August 9th and August 13th, possibly wetter than normal. You remember back the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's been a while since we've seen a map like this, where we could get a couple of waves of some showers coming through a large portion of the United States rather than the very individual or isolated showers. A temperature outlook kind of follows that trend right along that gradient between the below average temperatures and the above average temperatures, where those railroad tracks start to lay down and that pattern starts to show up. So the hottest of the hot back down here to the south and to the southwest, the coolest of the cool, not this cool, back up here to the north with those below average temperatures. So again, not a situation where we're looking at a dominant high pressure keeping things very dry and hot, rather mixing it up a little bit across the United States. Mexico, Missouri, partly cloudy, high around 79 degrees, low of 62. Nashua, I think that is actually the one from The Office, if you ever watch The Office. Mostly cloudy, high around 82 degrees, 65 with that low. And you got, well, everybody loves Raymond, mostly sunny, Mississippi.
Speaking of those recent high temperatures in Arizona, check this out. Amazon is not horsing around with its deliveries, the online retailer using Mules to help deliver packages to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. The deliveries are for Phantom Ranch employees who live and work there. Now, the ranch area is miles deep into the canyon and is only accessible by foot trail or the Colorado River. Mules have long been used to provide rides in and out of the canyon, as well as to deliver supplies for the ranch. Now, Amazon says the packages will go out 4 days a week before sunrise to avoid the heat. Speaking of ranches, Machinery Pete takes us to a special ranch in South Dakota next. Sometimes it's not the machines, but the people that make Machinery Pete's work absolutely worth it. Here's Pete.
Well, something different for you this week, folks. I love talking about farm machinery and trends with pricing, but I learned long ago in my journey that it's really about the people we meet along the way. And I tell you, I met a gal recently right to the top of the list of the most amazing folks I've ever run across. Her name is Joy Nelson from out in the Watertown, South Dakota area. And Joy founded the Joy Ranch of South Dakota in 1989, same year I started my Machinery Pete business. And folks, this facility is amazing. 126-acre ranch, 100% handicap accessible. The details throughout the ranch, just incredible. And their mission is to help kids with disabilities and life challenges, and also adults, get up close with horses. So equine therapy. They have an amazing staff at the Joy Ranch there, 25 horses, and they are changing lives and have been for decades of kids and families. And they have a special event coming up. I want you to circle this date on your calendar, folks, and come join us Saturday, August 19th, the first annual Joy Ranch Rendezvous, Watertown, South Dakota, right at the Joy Ranch. Going to be an amazing day. We'll be there filming a special episode for our Machinery Pete TV show, but there'll be food vendors. And this facility, folks, an old-time Western 1800 Main Street that's just unlike anything I've ever seen. An old country church, one-room schoolhouse, a beautiful lake, fishing and boating. They'll have food vendors. The One-Armed Bandit will be there from rodeo fame. Again, so come on out to Watertown, South Dakota, and support this amazing cause. They have a mission to grow the Joy Ranch of South Dakota. There's so much need, kids in need out there. And check out their website, www.joyranchsd.org, and we'll see you Saturday, August 19th at the Joy Ranch, Watertown, South Dakota.
All right, thanks, Pete. Well, up next, the southern growing season has had its own set of challenges. We'll take a look at the potential and possibilities of harvest in Arkansas, next in the country. This could turn out to be a good year for producers in East Arkansas. The Arkansas Farm Bureau talking with one farmer who is hoping for 60 bushels of soybeans per acre with just a few more rains.
So far, everything's looking very good. A whole lot better than last year because of the drought that we had. We've been getting some rainfall that's helped out tremendously. From what I see, everything looks real good. A lot of guys that, just passing up and down the road, I think they'll be pushing the 60s, 60 bushel average right now. If a farmer can, hit a 60 bushel yield, that's pretty good. Because I feel like on the average, most farmers are running in the 40s, maybe 50. So anything 60 and above is doing great. Corn crops look very well. I got a couple friends of mine that grows corn, and they've been showing me some of the corn. So right now they're pretty close to the end of the crop as far as watering. Maybe 1-2 more waters and corn crop will be over with. It'll be time for harvest. The worst year is when you don't come up with anything. But it all, for every farmer, it's different depending on what their, input cost is. Automatically with the rain, it's gonna make it cooler. So we hadn't had as many hot days. Automatically, that's gonna have an effect on your yield. Because of the natural rain, I tend to think that it helps better than cold water irrigation. But for me, yeah, this year's a whole lot better than last year because I got a stand of soybeans over the whole 275 acres compared to last year think I ended up with about 50 acres total that came up because of the drought that we had. So, yeah, automatically this is going to turn out to be a better year than last for me.
And our thanks to the Arkansas Farm Bureau for sharing that story with us. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great week on the farm.